Hey there. Hope you're doing really, really well and that you'll have a really nice weekend coming up here. I'm back here live. I'm going to answer two emails, and one of them is probably going to be a pretty long discussion, or maybe not. We'll see. But it's a question from Samuel regarding whether he should dismiss some reports that not going without sleep for a long time can cause hallucinations or not. I think there's a lot to learn from that question. And then Vince as well has played 2 hours of basketball and is kind of like flabbergasted. He doesn't understand how he can do these things with so little sleep. Actually, a very common question, common phenomenon. So that's going to be a good one too. But let's get into this question from Samuel. And what happened was I meant to answer this question yesterday, but I overlooked it. By the way, if that ever happens to you, if I said I'm going to answer a question and I don't, that's my bad. That means I'm somehow overlooked it. So please remind me, just like Samuel did here, because I love asking questions. And that's not what you should do. Just because I hope the answers are good for you as a viewer, but I really enjoy answering questions as well. So now this a little bit of background. Samuel sent me an email like almost 2 weeks ago, and he had heard that if you are going without sleep for a long period of time, you can start hallucinating. And he shared that the thought of hallucinating was very scary to him. He almost obsessed about that thought. He couldn't let go of that thought, which kept him being very worried of losing sleep, of course. And then he sent me a link to an article where he had read about this. And in a previous episode, I talked about how that article was not convincing at all, meaning the studies that have been done when you sleep deprive somebody for like 42 or 48 or 72 hours are way old. Like we haven't been ethically allowed to do those type of studies for many, many years. And also, just imagine if you're keeping somebody awake to see if they hallucinate, and you keep asking that person, like, okay, you've been awake for 22 hours now. Are you hallucinating? Are you hallucinating? Are you visualizing? Of course, that can make somebody say that they're hallucinating. And also, like, when you are in this kind of like, if you've been awake for a very long time, you're about to fall asleep, and you kind of woken up by these research assistants, it can feel like you're hallucinating yourself. So for many reasons, I think I've never come across any studies showing that sleep deprivation causes hallucinations, psychosis, nervous breakdown, anything going crazy, anything like that. So that's where that we already talked about that. Now, Samuel so his follow-up question to me was the following, which came in 3 days ago. I'll read the email. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for addressing the study. I have one final question regarding what we talked about. Since there doesn't appear to be solid evidence that one will hallucinate if extremely sleep deprived, should I just dismiss these stories that I've heard about people hallucinating, going crazy? How does one explain all these stories, such as the one in the article? It seems hard to imagine that people are just making it up. Okay, so inadvertently, I kind of almost answered the second question here. How does one explain all these stories? Well, one explanation is that, yeah, if you're awake for a very, very long time, your perception does change. Perception of time, you feel weird. You might be nodding off, but you're alert, and then it may feel you're dreaming, but you're also kind of like superficial sleep, so it can feel like you're hallucinating, which is very different from like hallucination as part of like schizophrenia, or like hallucinating as part of psychosis. So that could be one reason people have developed a belief that if you don't sleep enough, you could get all out psychosis, hallucinations. That could be one reason. Another reason is people like attention. A lot of people love attention. People will make stuff up just because that gives them that attention, particularly online where you can be anonymous. People say a lot of things. So that's another reason why these notions flourish. Like I don't know, flourish is the right word, but they're out there. This notion is out there. So those will be my explanations. Now, going back to the first question, which was Samuel asked, should I just dismiss this? And here's the question. Here's where this gets so interesting. I think for Samuel and many other who have kind of similar questions, the decision whether to dismiss or not feels like that should be based on whether it is true or not true, right? Well, here's the thing. Like with many other things in life, this one, you cannot fully know if it is true or not true. Like it's impossible to know, and that creates ambiguity, which creates anxiety. But my point here is that you can't really base the decision whether to dismiss or not based on whether it's true or not, because you cannot know for certain if it is true or not. So I think the decision whether dismissing or not should be based on how a belief affects you. Is a belief helpful for you or harmful for you? In this example, take the belief that not sleeping causes hallucination. That's one belief. Is that helpful to you? So I think for Samuel, probably you would say that's not a helpful belief. That belief leads me to fear losing sleep, which I don't want, right? So it's not a helpful belief. How about the opposite? How about the belief that this is not true? Sleeplessness does not cause hallucination. Is that a helpful belief? I believe that it is a helpful belief. So I believe, a lot of beliefs here, I believe that what one should do is choose a belief that is helpful. That is what one should do. Now, and that applies to so many other things. We have, for example, a lot of people who are afraid that they have this extremely rare neurodegenerative condition called SFI, sporadic fatal insomnia, which lately I'm hearing from one comment on the Insomnia episode 284 that you can actually sequence your genome and find out, which is amazing if that's true. Chad, if you hear this, please chime in, but that's amazing. But anyway, same thing there. You cannot, at this, up till now at least, you have not been able in any way to find out if you have this condition or not. Now, what people do is they try to look for clues. Could it be this? Could it be that? And that kind of searching for the truth, in a way, searching for the truth, when truth cannot be obtained, creates a lot of anxiety. So again, I think it's better to choose a belief, and choose a belief that serves you well. And again, going to those people that are afraid of this SFI thing, if you choose the belief that I have it, then that at least to the path of like, okay, I've chosen a belief, I have this condition, and now I can just deal with that, or choose a belief that I don't have it and go down that path. And many other things, like a lot of people with insomnia are wondering, let's say, is this the reason I have insomnia? Well, the path of trying to figure out if that's true or not creates a lot of anxiety. Like with I don't know, coffee. Is coffee the reason I have insomnia? Could it be? Could it be experimenting? It's better to choose a belief. So I felt there was even more to say about that, but it's a lot already. So Samuel, I thank you so much for that question, and I hope this discussion was helpful to you. Any follow-up questions, please let me know, and then we are going to turn our attention to Vince, who emailed me here 6 hours ago. Hi, Daniel. I don't know what is happening to me. I've been following my sleep window for 8 days, but I still can't fall asleep, or maybe I did sleep, ? I just marvel that if I really didn't sleep for 8 days, how come I can still play basketball? You said I should enjoy life. That's what I'm doing. I'm just wondering how many days of sleep restriction till I fall asleep. Very, very, very interesting questions here. And as I always like to point out, not unusual questions. Everything that I read here, very common, very, very common. A lot of people are like baffled, like, how is this possible? How can I still be like alert, awake, doing things when I literally didn't sleep at all yesterday? Well, a couple of clues. Well, actually, first of all, before we talk about this, I want to say something that I feel is important. And I kind of like to say what I'm about to say because it's a little bit provoking almost, which is getting a certain amount of sleep has no inherent value. Kind of like money. Money, having a dollar bill has no inherent value. Like the dollar bill is worth nothing. What makes a dollar bill worth something is that you can trade it for something else. And I believe it's the same with sleep. Sleeping, 8 hours or 10 hours or 2 hours or 5 hours per se has no value. The value in sleep lies in how it makes you feel. If somebody sleeps 4 hours, they feel great, perfect. Somebody sleeps 12 hours and they feel terrible, well, then that's not good, right? So going back to Vince here, if somebody is able to play a basketball game and have fun, and they slept, 3 hours, it's great. You have a lot of time to have fun. That's awesome. That's amazing. But that's probably not what's happening. But that's kind of my point. If you shift your focus to how you feel during the day, and if you feel good, then who cares how much you slept, right? That's kind of point number one. And point number two here, Vince is writing, I still can't fall asleep, or maybe I did sleep. Maybe you did sleep. It is highly likely that you slept a lot more than you think, Vince. I want to say, because the whole scenario here just seeps of like hyperarousal and paradoxical insomnia. And I talk a lot about this, but hyperarousal is when your mind is kind of really alert. Typically with insomnia, it's like you're so focused on sleep, you're thinking about sleep, you're wondering why you don't sleep, you're thinking like, how's this possible, kind of thing. That puts you in this very alert state, which makes you actually have a lot of energy. A lot of people with insomnia are like, I don't understand where all this energy comes from. It's from that hyperarousal, and that's why people with insomnia can function really well even on little sleep. But again, that little sleep may not be as little as you think, because the hyperarousal also makes you super aware of any wakefulness that happens overnight. So someone that doesn't have that hyperarousal may sleep for like 5 hours, but they feel like they slept 6.5. They don't remember waking up at all. Another person with a lot of hyperarousal slept 5 hours, but they feel like they slept 2.5 because they're so aware of every little time they were awake, right? So again, that I think could absolutely explain what's going on. And now, a couple of things that I'm really, really happy about, Vince, here is, first of all, you're questioning whether you maybe slept more than you think. That at all. A basketball. That's super cool. That's super cool. I'm so happy you did something that's fun. I definitely think that is the path towards sleeping well. And another thing, haven't heard anything about the TV. Haven't heard anything about the TV for a while. That's awesome. Like Vince asked me so many questions about his TV, whether he should keep it in his bedroom or keep it there or keep it not, which was a little bit like kind of obsessing, And it seems like Vince is letting go of like that thing. That's awesome. So it was a little catch up today because I forgot that email yesterday. Samuel, hope this was helpful to you. Vince, thanks so much for all your questions. And with that said, it is Friday. I will be back on Monday. Actually, Monday I'll be answering questions again. I don't really have anything lined up. So if you have a question, then please send it to me. And I hope you have an amazing weekend. Bye-bye.